Hey, my name's Rachel. I'm a homeschool mom of 3 little. Today I'm going to be sharing which curriculum we're using for language arts, so reading and writing. My son is in kindergarten, so this is our first full year of homeschooling. We did do some last year, but it was kind of more at our pace, very more slowed down. This year we're going to be a little more regular and consistent in our homeschooling and learning. For our language arts, we're actually using 2 different things. Most of what we are working out of is this Logic of English Foundations. We are on B. Last year, we kind of worked through A throughout the whole year. This year, we're gonna start with B, and I assume we'll probably get to level C before the year is over, because he's working through it pretty quickly. And then we're also doing the Handwriting Without Tears, just because I found last year it was a little, the way they do handwriting, I couldn't get him to get into as much. And the Handwriting Without Tears, he seems to like a little bit better. Let me flip around and kind of walk you through the lessons, kind of what's in each of these, and then I will show you, if you buy the bundle on the Logic of English, kind of what's included with that, because you do use most of that stuff. Make sure you subscribe and you're following along so that you can see how our homeschool is going, and I'll kind of give mid-year reviews on how we're liking this and if we make any changes, and make sure you let me know if you've got any questions or you want to see anything more about these. If you just order the curriculum part, it comes with these 2 things: a teacher's manual and then a student workbook. You can get manuscript or cursive. To start, we are just doing manuscript. Eventually, I think we will do some kind of cursive handwriting, but just to get started, we are doing the manuscript. And I'll show you what this kind of all includes. So it does tell you the supplies you will need. Again, most of this you can buy in the bundle, and then it doesn't really have anything outside of what they provide for you that they need. So at the beginning, you have a scope and sequence. So it kind of talks about what they'll learn in each lesson, kind of an overview. There's always a reading, a phonogram, or a review of phonogram in every lesson, and then the handwriting piece, which again we use the Handwriting Without Tears for. There's always some spelling, and then some comprehension and fluency, and then if there's any grammar or vocabulary. It also shows you if you're worried about, and here's another. So here's a material list for each lesson, again, kind of what you'll need if you like to look ahead. And then if you are worried about state standards, it does have which standard goes with what lesson. So let me give you an example of a lesson too. We'll kind of open up. So I really like this curriculum because it's a lot of gameplay or active learning, and it gives you ideas for ways to teach things different ways, which I really appreciate, so you can kind of adapt to your unique learner. So at the top, it gives you what you need, kind of the overview. This one is another very open and go curriculum, blending and segmenting 2-syllable words. And then again, there's usually some sort of game, like this one's got the race, and then going over letter names, and then learning the new phonogram. And it tells you exactly what to say, what kids' answers should be. Again, it tells you in these green boxes what materials you're gonna need for each part. And then the spelling, and it does give you some teacher tips for the spelling. And this, in the orange boxes, are multi-sensory, so other ways to learn. These do have assessments. If you're interested in doing kind of more of a test, they have this with different things, and then it also has practice ideas if your student isn't performing where they should in one area. We don't necessarily do the test, but I'll look to this for anything we need to review, and then if I feel like I'm unsure where my son is at, we'll kind of do some of these, but typically we just skip over these. And let me show you kind of what the workbook looks like. So there's always a practice letter and activities for each one. They often have these where you cut out the words and then play different games with them. These are all perforated pages, so you can take them out of the book if your student doesn't like working within the book. here's what you get if you get the Logic of English bundle.
You get a set of these like playing cards that have all the phonograms on them. And it's 2 sets. Also comes with these different like game play cards too. Now these we do use because there's a lot of games, and again, we like to play the games. That's what my son likes to do best. I just keep them in these little index card boxes that I got from either Target or the Dollar Tree. So I would recommend having these. The other things it comes with are these little letter tiles. I would say these probably aren't an absolute need, but they do have these as part of different activities, and sometimes we use these for spelling too. He just uses the words, like the little tiles, to spell, because sometimes the writing is a little more challenging for him, so I can get him to kind of focus on the spelling aspect more sometimes when we use these. And again, there's different games, but these, got all of these. Another little storage container just from Target. So with the set, when you order, are these the manuscript cards. So they're like this sandpapery texture, so the kids can kind of tactily feel how to write the letter, and then it kind of shows you and explains on the back about how to write it. We hardly ever use these. The other thing that we absolutely use pretty much every lesson, you're using these for games just constantly, are the phonogram cards. So they come with the whole set with all of the ones you're going to use. Also included in the bundle are these teacher resources. Now I hardly ever use these. Everything that's on here is in the book, just kind of a more succinct way if you want to just look for a quick kind of one sheet resource. Also comes with a whiteboard. You can see ours is very well loved. Nothing special about these, so if you didn't want to do the whole package, you could definitely find these on just Amazon, these whiteboards, the line ones. Also, the curriculums come with these books, so they've got songs to learn the phonograms that you can find on like Spotify, and then these books go with the songs. They've got the pictures, the phonogram, how to say it. So we usually look at this when we're listening to the song when we learn a new phonogram. For Foundations B, so this is an A, so when you get Foundations B, these also are included. They have these little readers. There's a lot of them that will kind of just build your library for reading. Now for the Handwriting Without Tears, I did purchase both of these, but I will say I hardly ever use the teacher manual. We just work out of the workbook. But I will show you. It kind of explains how to write each letter. There is a QR code to get some more help if you need different things. And then this kind of explains, it's got its units, kind of which letters and numbers to do at which time. And it works through capital letters first, and then lowercase and sentences. But again, we have really just been working out of the workbook here. I felt like it was easier for my son to do the practice in these little boxes. He was more motivated to do it that way. So we're still working through this. I figure we'll be finished with this shortly, and then we will move on to their next step up as well. And then they've got numbers too in the back. We used both of these last year. They're very open and go. My son loved them and helped him keep his focus. I will say with the foundations, I typically split the lessons when he did it in preschool into 2 days worth. Sometimes the lessons they probably take 20 to 30 minutes to get through if you can get your kid to really focus.
After you're done on, can I tell you all what I sell?
Yes. So for the Logic of English, typically when he was a little bit younger, so for the pre-K, we did split up the lesson. I kind of split it in half. This year we've been able to work through a full lesson in one day, and it typically takes us 20 to 30 minutes. And that's with a couple breaks. Sometimes it's just a little bit harder to focus. So You may be able to get through those a little more quickly if your kid's really one who can sit and focus for a long time, but we have to have some breaks. Make sure you are following along. I'll let you give you an update on how these are going, and we'll just talk about other things and resources and tips I use for homeschool throughout the year.